Welcome back to Front and Center with Jacquie Jordan.
I definitely recommend for most people, especially Americans, the best thing to eat is not to eat anything.
Hi, I'm Jacquie Jordan. Welcome back to Front and Center. We are the show where we talk to the change agents, storytellers, and activators making impact from behind the scenes, now front and center. Joining us is Stephanie Cobian and Phillip Andrew Barbb, our co-hosts. And today we've got with us the co-developer of Nutribullet and my longtime friend, David Avocado Wolfe. So welcome, David.
Thank you. Great to be here.
So you're one of the keynotes here at the Conscious Life Expo this weekend, standing room only. I've seen the crowds when you're here and you speak. We just started the top of the show. Stephanie attended the premiere of Vax 2 with Robert Kennedy Jr., something I know that you've spoken a lot about. Most people recognize you as the co-developer of Nutribullet. I don't know who doesn't have a Nutribullet in their kitchen. You really dropped a lot into the collective zeitgeist, and superfoods was one of them. Like, what is that like? And so the other one is the best day ever. I see that all over the place. He's been saying the best day ever since like 2004 and probably even earlier than that. What do you think about just seeing the whole explosion of so much of that early work that you did in terms of nutrition, health?
Well, there's something very profound about the effect that one person can make on the world. Yeah. And so that's what I'm passing along to kids now. It's like you get up at 14, 15 years old. I had a 14-year-old staying with me for 10 days. And I'm like, you get on your mission now. You get your word out there. By the time you're 24, 25, you'll have gotten something out there. And by the time you're my age, you will have done more than I have done. And so it just shows you that one person can make a difference in the world. Absolutely. You never know what that difference is, though.
No, you don't. Cacao is another one. Cacao is an industry. Like cacao has taken over like the chocolate industry.
We changed that word. It used to be cocoa, C-O-C-O-A, which is the worst word ever. No one knows what that means. People are like, is that a cocoa, coconut, coca, cacao? What is it? We got it back to the original word, which is actually we know as the original Mayan, and even they got it from the Olmecs. The Olmec Mayan word is cacao, and we know because the way that they wrote their language was an enunciation. So cacao is the way the Mayans said it. So that's the original word, and that's why we brought that back, is to get it back to the British, the way they changed it to C-O-C-O-A and confused everybody. It's like, look, what does that have to do with anything? It's actually a nut, the most widely eaten nut in the world.
The way David and I met over like a decade ago, I went on a retreat that David was co-hosting. But I didn't know David, and it was also a raw vegan retreat, which I didn't know anything about being raw vegan. So I'm sitting in the airport. I knew it was yoga and Peru. That's what I signed up for, yoga and Peru. And so everybody at the airport's like, David Wolfe, it's a raw vegan. How long have you been raw vegan? And so there's all this conversation. I was like, what am I signing up for? So I went on the retreat, met David. We had the best time ever. And I came back, and it was an instant change. I went raw vegan. And I was like raw vegan for probably like close to a decade. In that time, I met Stephanie. And I
didn't know what raw vegan was. I was like,
we went
who's this person and what is
She's like, you're eating a leaf. And she did a school project.
You're eating a leaf.
No. So I went to Cal State Northridge, right? CSUN. And so we had to do a documentary. And I was like, I come up with ideas. And I was like, oh. And I met her. And I was like, why don't I do a documentary on this raw vegan what? And so she would take me out. Okay. She would take me out to eat. I would still be starving because I didn't eat that. I'm like 22 years old, right? So we go to this place literally called Leaf. That was the restaurant. And okay. I'm Mexican. We eat real burritos. That's for tortillas and like rice and beans and like a meat. And it's like, I don't know, these sprouts and some other things in
and it's called a burrito.
A leaf. A leaf. So I took it to school, and everybody in my class was like, what is this? I was like, I don't know. This is what it is.
Isn't that funny how crazy natural food is?
It's
like
amazing.
The reaction to natural, natural.
But I do have cacao. I'm not raw vegan, but I like cacao.
See, Mexicans are still connected to food. They still know how to grow food. They understand avocados.
Yes.
They get hot chilies. They understand things. That's why I love traveling in Mexico. I love Mexicans. I grew up right on the border, actually.
So the food program, it's literally a food program that's changed a lot. Like what to eat today is like almost a crisis of consciousness at this point. Keto and paleo and raw vegan and not vegan or pescatarian or intermittent fasting. Like I don't even think eating is even like organic. Like, this is just what we do here on planet
We
Earth.
just eat
But
when
like,
we're hungry.
I want the pill. I don't like to eat. I want a pill. I can just put in nutrients. I'm good for 3
like
weeks.
what?
We can hook you up. I got stuff for you.
Like what? What about the food program right now?
Basically, where I'm at today with all that is you got to have quality. It's qualitarianism is really where it's at. And so
If you coined
I
another word.
I have an organic certified biodynamic farm, all our stuff. Like I'm the only certified biodynamic farmer of vanilla in the United States of America.
Wow.
That's where I'm at. It's like you want the best vanilla ever? I got it. You want the best cacao ever? I got it. Because that's what it's all about. It's like it's all about the quality and bringing that quality up to maximum whatever you're going to eat.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely recommend for most people, especially Americans, the best thing to eat is not to eat anything.
And water. Let's just go.
Yeah.
Distilled
Drink
water,
water. Yes.
spring water,
Yeah.
alkaline water, reverse osmosis
I'm
water.
about to flip this one
Tap
over. Ready?
water,
Okay,
please.
we're
I want to hear that.
We flip this one over. Okay, here it is. Deuterium-depleted water. This is quite a story. I've been following this story for over 20 years, and it originally was a Russian research on this that struck my interest. As you age, you accumulate deuterium. Now, deuterium is an aberrant form of hydrogen. It's an isotope of hydrogen. It has an extra neutron. You also accumulate tritium, which is 2 neutrons, which is believed to be in the past was like, oh, hydrogen's all the same. It's just hydrogen. No, it's deuterium. Finally, in the 1930s, a scientist decided to sprout tobacco seeds, in this particular case, in deuterium water, D2O. It's hydrogen. It's supposed to be just the same chemistry as hydrogen, but actually it's totally toxic. Deuterium is absolutely toxic to all metabolism. And the discovery was made eventually that the accumulation of deuterium, which you have more deuterium in your body right now than you have calcium and magnesium combined.
So you're saying hydrogen water.
Okay, well, I'm going to get there. Okay, so basically what it comes down to is we've now know that the amount of deuterium in our body is directly correlated to our level of health. It's an exact match. If you're over 156, you're in trouble. 156 parts per million. Now, normally at a certain age, you cross 140. That's when you start getting into trouble, 140 parts per million. So the Russians eventually started going, okay, you have to do, what are we going to do to get the deuterium out? And they eventually came to this idea of alternative dry fasting, which is very difficult, where you get all the way to a water fast. And you do one day I have a fast on water, the next day on nothing, then on water, then on nothing, then on water, then on nothing, and do that for 20 days. Now,
And
that
Russia came up with this?
The Russians did that. And that works. And that will de-age you and it'll get the deuterium out of your body. And you have a system in your body that will get the deuterium out once you give your body the chance. So then the Hungarians came along and they found out that you could fractionally distill the water down and get rid of the heavy water that's present in all, the deuterium is present in all our water. It's present in all our food. It's present in our whole ecosystem, all our biosphere. Everything around us is contaminated with deuterium.
In the whole world? Like
In the whole
Africa,
world,
Australia, everywhere.
And in fact, the further you go north or south, further you get into colder regions, the deuterium goes down. So in Iceland, for example, Icelandic spring water is about 137 parts per million deuterium, which is very good. The Hungarians figured out through fractional distillation or fractional freezing, you could get the deuterium level down in your water, your drinking water, down to 65 parts per million or 45 parts per million or 25 parts per million. Then they did research on cancer patients for 20 years on people drinking that water and what happens to you when you drink deuterium-depleted water, DDW water. And that is one of the greatest breakthroughs of our time.
I
Hydrogen?
You're basically getting hydrogen to displace the
There you
deuterium
go.
out.
Jackie,
I just bought a hydrogen thing for the water.
I love the
I
guests
just
that you
did
bring
for
on
plus.
because I thought, like I've got a pair of socks that have the periodic table on it, and like that's about as educational as I get. But I'm
And you know that's a limited table.
Oh, it's very limited, and I think it's massively incorrect.
Yeah,
by the
not
way,
that.
yes,
You have to do it.
don't
You
put a
have to do
test
it.
in front of me.
You're
I
gonna
will fail, but I got the socks.
You got the socks. You got the socks. So okay, so you did best day ever, and the other platform has been longevity.
Yes. See, because I'm in the longevity field, I've got to know what the cutting edge is and act on it and have it all down, right? The biggest thing there for most people, like when I get into DDW water, people are like, oh my God, what is that? Here's what's more simple and more useful to all of us. Charcoal. Activated charcoal has been, this is just has to be said because somebody's got to tell you. Activated charcoal has been in research on animals by far the #1 longevity substance of any single thing that you can feed an animal or feed a human being that will give you the best chance of increasing lifespan by far.
The dog walker's like
charcoal.
his dog poop is really black. Don't worry about it.
So
It's really black.
I use facial.
Stinks less.
I use like charcoal facial wash, right? Now, at what point, right, when something is good for you,
Good
then
question.
it becomes popular, and then they try to find a
Right.
cheaper way of making it. At what point, like, how much percentage of charcoal does something need to be for it to be effective?
100%. That's the thing.
Okay,
Like,
I'm throwing all my things
so,
away.
Like, for
I'm
example,
throwing all
like,
of it
you know,
away.
we hear about teeth whitening using activated charcoal, which is by far the safest and best teeth whitener of all time. All you do is you take your toothbrush, you open up your little capsule of charcoal right on your toothbrush, and you brush your teeth with it at least once a week. And watch what it does to your mouth and to your teeth.
And they don't do that. Like they don't manufacture it that way because it's unpopular to put the black. Like nobody wants to brush their teeth and have them black foam come out of your mouth. But it is. I do activated charcoal too.
Well,
but
if
it's
you
not a
want-
big
if
deal.
that's-
Yeah, well,
like,
it's-
if that will work.
And what are the benefits
they're
of
going
it?
to cheapen down the toothpaste. So, oh, this is charcoal toothpaste, but it's really only a small amount of charcoal in there.
And what are the what would if I did that for a month? What would happen?
Charcoal's an adsorbent. It's meaning it's not absorbent, like which is a sponge, it absorbs things. This adsorbs things. Now there's a difference. The absorption is like a sponge, it soaks it in. Charcoal's electromagnetically pulling to itself like a magnet toxic materials right out of your teeth, out of your body, right off your gums, everything. It's an antiseptic par excellence. It's one of the most antiseptic substances ever found, and it's a neutralizer, and it resets the biome. Right, so we have this biome of all the bacteria in our mouth, for example. If charcoal's underneath all that and cleans that all up, that's exactly what nature wants. That's what nature prefers. That's why nature resets ecosystems with a fire. Right, there's all the charcoal resets the whole ecosystem. The black earth begins the start of all soil.
So I was just going to ask you, what is activated charcoal? I mean, because I think of charcoal when I put it in the fire.
That's such a good
I mean,
question.
is that
She's good. She's good, isn't she?
I don't speak often, but when I do.
It's important.
So charcoal is when you take wood and you burn it and you try to remove oxygen from getting to the wood. So for example, if I took an old like Folgers can of whatever and I popped a hole on each side and I was able to get the wood in there and then I threw that into a fire so the oxygen can't get to it, but it's heating up. I'm baking it basically. If I bake the wood, what will be left over is the charcoal skeleton. So it hasn't burned to ash yet. It's just the skeleton. That's what charcoal is. So charcoal, if we're going to take that and we're going to make it activated, all they're doing is they're taking a really good charcoal material like the shell of a coconut, and they're blasting superheated steam through it that's like at 900 degrees just to get off those last 10% of the volatile proteins and stuff that's still there that hasn't completely burned off, just to kind of clean it off. And that's why activated charcoal was invented, because it's a little bit more clean. It's purer. It's more pharmaceutical in its use. For example, if I want to filter water, I use charcoal. But it has to be good quality charcoal. If I want to filter air, I use charcoal. If I want to filter off stuff out of my body, I'm going to use charcoal.
Longevity, technology, AI. What are you seeing in terms of technology trends?
Okay, well, I'm a Rudolf Steiner fan. I'm an anthroposophist. So what I see with technology trends is it's a kind of you have to play the game of technology, but you got to be careful you don't get sucked into it. So you got to make sure you spend your time away from the technology. And so that we spend a lot of time, we're like, I don't have my phone on me. If I did have my phone on me, you'd see a system. You'd go, what's that system? What do you mean? Like, I never hold my phone in my hand. I have a tripod system that holds my phone. It's like a DJI tripod camera system so that it's never in my hand. It's always away from me. The distance that the technology is away from you, the better and safer you are.
It's not hip with the youngsters.
This could be very hip. The system I have is could be very hip because it's one of those things. It's like when people see it, they're like, what's that?
Put that
It's a
down.
whole
Get
way.
it away. I was like sitting on it. I was sitting on my phone. We're getting it out of here. What do you think? And I don't know if there's a real answer or if we're just hypothetical. What do you think is the max we will live to that we can the human
Great question.
if the human body if we did everything right,
Not forever.
how long can we stretch this thing out
That's
for?
good. 300.
Whoa.
You think
Sure,
it's a
yes.
300?
You could walk on Earth.
Now let me just lay it down real
In a
quick.
good, healthy
we get the
life.
toxic isotopes out. Remember this? The toxic mimics, like basically deuterium is toxically mimicking hydrogen, right? So if we are able to get all of the toxic isotopes out of our body, which we suspect, by the way, by the geological record, that the more ancient waters on the earth have way less isotopes in them. So there was probably a past age, like the biblical age of the patriarchs, where there's no way Methuselah lived to be 969 years old or whatever it was. Now we go, there is a way, because there was no isotopes in the environment at that time, which are toxic imposters, right? So that's one thing. The stem cells, the charcoal, then you put together like, okay, little diet, lots of fasting, lots of outdoor activity.
And a Nutribullet.
And a Nutribullet.
And a Nutribullet.
And a Nutribullet.
Could go wrong.
So where should we send people to? Which website of yours do you want people to find
DavidWolfe.com is good.
DavidWolfe.com.
Yeah, DavidWolfe.com. You can always find me, David Avocado Wolfe, on Facebook or David Avocado Wolfe on Instagram.
Thank you
Wolf
so
with
much.
an E.
Thank you very much for joining
That
us.
was great. Great show.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Yeah,
For
really
more
good questions.
information, check us out at frontandcenterpodcast.com. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be right back.
Who I am right now is a multidimensional being. And in the multidimensional being that I am, I have many gifts.
Really every part of the business on some level is really just a relationship. So is it the relationship to the grower, the distiller, or to the client, or to people that are working with you?
If you are doing extraordinary things from behind the scenes, from any walk of life, we'd love to hear from you. Subscribe to us on YouTube at TV Guestpert and or TV Guestpert Broadcast Podcast. Follow us on Instagram or Facebook at TV Guestpert.